All right, let's jump in, guys. Let's talk about the truth about monthly dividend stocks. Is it a big deal? Like, does it matter if stocks pay monthly or do they pay quarterly? But before we jump in, what are we supposed to say?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Yeah, we always forget to do that. All right, let's start talking. So is it matter if a stock pays monthly or they pay quarterly?
To me, I see it as one of those things. It's like, it's a nice to have, but it doesn't really matter in the giant scheme of things, because you still have to go through the same process of evaluating whether that stock is going to be a good company to invest in, and is their dividend sustainable.
What's the vast majority? Like, all companies out there, how often do they pay?
I would say it's quarterly for probably 99% of the companies.
So why are we doing an entire show about
the one percenters?
The one percenters. Why do you think it's important?
Because it's shiny. The 1% can get kind of shiny, and it kind of can stand out above the rest.
I think the reason why this is such an important topic is really because the 1%, I kind of play on that. It is shiny, and I think it's something that companies can use to market to attract.
Right? Yeah.
Why would you buy that company over there that's paying a quarterly dividend when we're going to give you a monthly dividend? Don't you want to get paid every month? Don't you want to get paid every month? Doesn't that sound better?
It does, but you got to sometimes think quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Right.
So is it okay? Let's just kill this right out of the gate.
Nope.
That's not. I don't mean that in a bad way.
Can we be done? Can we shorten the show?
Yeah. No.
Just
Everybody's getting
address
done
it
sooner.
at the beginning.
No, well,
tease
what I mean, I'm not talking about the answer. I'm talking, does it matter if they pay quarterly or monthly? Let's just put that one out to pasture. No. Because you have an example of a stock that pays 75% per dividend, which pays quarterly, or a stock that pays 25% per month. It's still the same.
Right.
So the risk to the company, the reality to the investor, you're getting paid the same. So the math doesn't change. No. And I'm using a very simple analogy.
Peel it back a little more. You got to look a little deeper.
Yeah, well, and I think and the point of where we're going to be going on here is the reality isn't the fact that the math is any different. It really comes down to it's shiny.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's something that the industry will use to market, to lure customers in, because they're like, hey, we pay 12 times a year.
Right.
You're only getting paid 4 times a year. With the majority out there, they're not going to necessarily say we're going to give you more, but they could, because you're getting more payments. That doesn't mean more money.
Right.
So can you see immediately that this could draw an investor in, and there's nothing different. Actually, the reality could be worse.
Correct.
They're using the difference of 12 payments versus 4 payments to draw you into their company. And the reality is the vast majority of the companies that do this are companies like BDCs, which we'll explain in a minute, REITs, non-typical dividend stocks.
Correct. Yeah. It's not your Coca-Colas and Johnson & Johnsons, the companies that are doing quarterly earnings.
Yeah.
Typically, it's those companies. Like we do have one in the portfolio that we manage, and it pays that monthly dividend.
Yeah. So the big companies out there, the ETFs, the BDCs, the REITs, these are companies that attract real estate, or they go and buy real estate, or companies. That's what a BDC is. So let's talk about a REIT. A REIT is basically a real estate investment trust.
Yep.
These are companies that own tons of real estate all over the United States or the globe or wherever.
Yep.
And they started small. They bought an apartment complex, and now they own billions of real estate, and they went public. Whatever. Golf courses, whatever. Yeah. And they're like, hey, let's go get investor money, and then we can just scale this.
Mm-hmm.
So those types of companies typically pay on a monthly basis. Okay. Completely different types of risks in a REIT.
Because you got to really watch their cash flow, because sometimes they can be huge cash, like cash reserves.
Yeah.
But because of what the business that they're in, they're almost hoarding cash to look for that next buy.
And that can actually be a little misleading, especially if you go to our starter dividend kit or our swipe right test, and you're going to see like cash on hand being something we're going to look at. Well, when it comes to a REIT,
70 years of dividend payment. But for how long?
Well, if you look at a REIT, they might have a crazy amount of cash, And the reality is, well, that's just because they're getting ready to buy a building or something.
Or they just sold off one.
Or one. And you're just like, wait, in a year or a month, down the road, that huge cash position now looks like it's nothing. What just happened? Well, they just reinvested. They sold and now they reinvested back.
That's right.
So on a REIT specifically, there can be some dangers. BDCs, these are business development companies. So early in my career, when I was working at Morgan Stanley and I first started at a small firm in Plymouth, Michigan, BDCs were something that we sold. It's like a venture capitalist fund where they're just going to buy into all these businesses. They're going to wrap them together and then they're going to try to sell it. They try to find startup, high tech, $50 million, $10 million companies, product that's going to revolutionize
the next thing.
Something crazy, right? Well, that's a BDC. It's kind of like, hey, we're looking for this cheap piece of property that we can sell for oodles of money. Same thing with a business. Hey, this is if we can infuse money and we can get more investor cash to put into this business could explode. And the deals always were, hey, we're going to go buy X amount of businesses and we're just hoping like 2% of them make it. Our track record is just 1 or 2 grand slams. The rest can just muddle along and we'll make so much money. So we're buying a growth company that's paying cash to lure investors in. But there's not a ton of cash because these are businesses that are growing. They're using their cash to grow. They don't want to pay out to an investor.
So you got to be very careful where that cash is coming
so
from,
you've got these real estate companies, these REITs, that are leveraging borrowed money to go buy real estate to capture appreciation, and they're paying cash flow monthly. And then you have BDCs that are doing the same thing with small businesses that don't have tons of cash flow. I don't know a whole lot of small companies that are like swimming in cash, right? And they're like, hey, let me just pay you on a monthly basis. They're like trying to survive.
Or they're just putting every penny back to the bottom line, trying to grow it.
Correct. And then you have your typical ETF, which could be anything. It could be BDCs, it could be REITs, it can be portfolios of dividend stocks, it could be whatever. And these are the vast majority that are paying on a monthly basis. They have their own types of risks, their own types of things that are scary, but the reality is it better? Because they're going to draw in through marketing, through shiny things.
Packaging,
Yeah. And it's scary. Is this worth the risk?
Right. And that's where you really have to go and do your homework of what's generating that dividend that they're paying.
And are they
dividend's kind of an interesting word in this discussion.
We're calling it dividend because I don't know that it's always a true dividend. Sometimes it could be return of your own principal. They're kind of taken from the growth to give you a portion of that each month. There's all kinds of things that could be happening there of how they're getting it, how they're returning a quote unquote dividend to you.
They're leveraging your capital. Are you truly getting return on your capital the way that they are getting return on your capital?
Yeah, this is the scariest part to me is when you have a company like a REIT or a BDC specifically, but it can happen in an ETF as well. An ETF is a little bit different. They can be taking their NAV or their principal for an investor, but with a REIT and or the BDC, they just can return back cash that you give them in the form of a dividend.
Right.
And they can actually call it a dividend, but you're just getting your own money back.
Right.
So, and I can't tell you how many private placements, so a REIT and a BDC is considered a private placement, and I sold them early in my career. And you'd have these, nice looking salespeople that walk in your door representing all these different companies, and they'd sell you all these benefits, and they sounded amazing. And then we sold tons of them. And I can tell you with rare exception, almost all of them lost money.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Now in my career, I'm like, that's not real. Don't you dare sell that. I don't care if it's public or not. The public ones have made it, but a lot of them, they just made it to the public arena to gain more money, still in hopes that they're going to actually be profitable.
Right.
A lot of times they're not. Yeah. And they've merged with other BDCs and other REITs, to get to the public platform. And it's the same garbage.
Yeah. And I've seen clients who come in and they're, they've been sold these products prior and there's been zero appreciation on their capital at all. It's just stayed the same. Yet they've consistently got some checks throughout the year, but it's like where's that? So you're not getting any return on your money.
None.
They're literally just return.
They're taking their fees out.
Yep.
The appreciation of the property is going up, but it's netting a wash.
Correct.
Because they're using that appreciation to get everybody paid, but you're not actually, if you were to close and walk away, you're probably just getting your principal back. And what value did that bring?
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say it. I've done the exercise with some people using the snapshot with their portfolio because they just don't understand. And I hate to do that because I'm calling a baby ugly, but it's what have you put in? What have you taken out? What have you made? And what's the value?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that math, it's hard, but sometimes you have to do that to help them understand that if those, do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
The deposits, the withdrawals, and
Simple math.
yeah, it's simple, but sometimes you have to slow down from that first layer. And I say shiny things because there is some pretty good shiny things out there. And there's some pretty intelligent people that have asked some really good questions, but they've needed to go one layer deeper. And sometimes you just got to boil it down to those four
You know what's
numbers.
interesting on the shiny thing aspect is, I consider myself a recovering addict. Like
you're honest about it. You're self-aware. Paul.
at early in my career, I mean, if it sounded good or looked good, I was attracted.
Well, it's hard not to get
Right.
kind of, oh, let me take a look at that one. And they're like, hey, we can promise you, it's a safer investment and we're going to give you 8 to 10 to 12% return as a dividend each year. And you're like, well, I have to look at this.
Right. I know. I think the older you get, well, I shouldn't say it has to do with age. I think it has to do with more maturity. But, there's a point in your life you're like, am I going to continue down this path of chasing things? Or am I going to back up and get in a lane or slow down? Then you have to back up. Get in a lane and stay there. Because you can grow and through maturity and do just a few things. Actually, if you look at the most successful companies out there, they typically do just a few things. Amazon might be one of the exceptions, or a Google that has their hand in seems like everything. But really, if you look at Amazon, they kind of just do one thing. They sell. Their distribution.
Right.
Yeah. And they do it very well. So, at the end of the day, I think if you narrow your focus down, I think and I'm talking to the investor, the monthly dividends aren't any more attractive than a quarterly dividend. I mean, what's the end goal? Getting paid. And making wealth.
Sustainably well.
The snowball, right?
Yeah, we want to see, I want to
compound.
invest X, get a Y yield, and see that X grow.
Mm-hmm.
Do I really care if it's a monthly or quarterly? No. I'm more suspicious on the monthly side.
Right.
Because the industry runs on a quarterly basis.
That's right.
And I kind of wish the industry would stop doing quarterly calls, because I feel like it throws the market into convulsions.
Yes.
Oh, did you hear about, did they miss by a penny? So-and-so company, and they just, why? Can we just do it on a year?
Yes.
And probably mellow the market out.
You got to get movement. That's how we get the movement.
It drives me nuts.
Yes.
All right, let's land the plane. Any final thoughts?
No, I think it's,
No.
well, that's true.
We all do that. Hey, no, I don't have any. But let me say this last thing.
Better than, I think it goes back to focusing on what you're actually taking home. What is the true income that you're getting, not how frequently you're getting paid. If that's kind of where you start, then if it's quarterly, let it be quarterly. If it's monthly, let it be monthly. But let's go pick great stocks that pay you a fair yield, and there's some sustainability and growth to that yield.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just say that it's kind of tapping onto that. It's the psychology of it, right? Like for most of your life, you get paid every 2 weeks or every month, So to switch to like, wait a minute, this is not financially sound. There's a different way to do this that's better. That's not this immediate solution. I have to plan for the future. I think that's a mind shift that a lot of people have to work on. So
For me, I would say if something seems too good to be true, it might be. So just dig a little deeper. And the other one is patience. Sometimes you got to give something a little bit of time to see the sustainability of it and if it's got the longevity to make it. And sometimes that is the true answer.
Mine's pretty simple. When you have a portfolio of dividend stocks, they all have different fiscal years. So even though we're all used to getting paid, 1 to 4 times a month, the reality is these companies all pay different quarterlies, which actually means there's a cycle to how it works. So if you actually took your money on a monthly basis and you have a basket of dividend stocks, you're going to collect money every single month. So the psychology doesn't really matter, if they pay monthly or quarterly, because you're going to collect money every month because they're not on the same cycle. They don't all start in January
Right.
and then go to March and then July. The cool thing is they all have different months a year that they report, and they all have different months a year that they pay. So there's going to be a cycle of how you get paid. So you don't have to budget as bad. It's going to probably map itself out where you might have 1 month that pays a lot, 1 month that pays a lot less, and then 1 month in the middle, and then the cycle starts all over again. The last thing I would say is we have a couple things that we give away in these shows. The first is our dividend growth starter kit, or dividend starter kit, and the second one is the stripe white test. All you have to do is just comment below the show. You can say anything. You hated it, you loved it, I don't care, ask a question, but then just request it, and we'll contact you and get you that kit free. There's no cost to it. Hope you enjoyed the show and learned something today. God bless.